Lion-O gets a spanking from Cheetara to teach him a very important lesson about life, leadership, and growing up. It's an after-school special of the Thundercats variety in Thundercats number 5 from Dynamite Comics. We're going to talk about it right here. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. Before we dig into the main issue, let's recap briefly what happened in issue number 4. Lion-O got his first taste of Mum-Ra's power, but the battle ended in a stalemate. During that battle, Tigra was critically injured and spirited away by Cheetara to get some much-needed medical attention, and the broken Sword of Omens was stolen by Calica after she put the beat down on Snarf. That brings us to Thundercats number 5. We start with Cheetara sneaking into Lion-O's bedchamber early in the morning to say, "Get up, sunshine, we're going to go do some training, some sparring. I'm going to be your partner, and we're going to see what you're made of." Lion-O's a little bit uncertain because it's normally Panthro who's the one that does all the training, but he decides, okay, let's go do this and let's figure out what's going to happen and how rough or not it's going to be. Lion-O follows Cheetara out to the woods that are near their base camp, and they start to spar, they start to fight, and Cheetara smacks him left, right, up, down, and sideways. And she soon finds out that he seems to be holding back because he thinks he doesn't want to hurt her. And she says, don't worry about that, sunshine. You just let loose and let me worry about staying intact. And even with Lion-O just cutting loose with everything he's got, she still beats him down pretty hard. When Cheetara sees that Lion-O's had enough, she says, let's take a break and let's talk and let's get things off your chest, give you a chance to vent. And Lion-O starts spilling his guts about how he feels after the end of the last arc, where he's got his trust misplaced because he believed in Calica, and turns out she backstabbed him. He thought he was up to the task of taking out Mum-Ra, and he finds out he's completely wrong. And in the course of leading his team into battle, Tigra got pretty badly hurt. And so now he's feeling the weight of leadership. He's feeling the weight of what it means to be the Lord of the Thundercats. And now he's feeling like maybe he wasn't up to the task because he was aged up so quickly and maybe took on things a little bit too much. And she says, calm down. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. No Lord is a great Lord right out of the gate. The difference is when you make your mistakes, you learn from them, and we move forward. So they get back to sparring. So for round 2. Cheetara is still pretty much keeping Lion-O on his back paws or feet or heels or whatever they have. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. And she instructs him through the fight to rely on his strength, rely on his reflexes, to use his assets to the best of their ability. And eventually he lands a pretty wicked gut punch that knocks her back several feet. And she says, there we go. Now you're understanding the lesson. Watch what I'm doing. Anticipate. Learn from what's going on around you. Then make your move. Stop rushing in, stop trying to do things too fast or shortcutting life, and you'll get to where you need to go, and we're here to support you every step of the way. And that's it. That's the end of the issue. Let's move over to the technical aspects, starting with the character development. So if you take a look at the credits of this issue, this is written and drawn by Stephen Mooney, who's a guest creator on this particular series, with a little bit of the story input from Declan Shalvey, who was the main writer starting from issue number 1. This is effectively a one-shot, if you want to look at it that way. It's filling the gap between the first arc and the second arc. It's not advertised as such, but it's clear that's all this is. It's a filler issue. So Stephen Mooney takes the opportunity to put all emphasis on this being effectively a character piece between Lion-O and Cheetara. She's giving out all this wisdom, all this parental kind of advice, kind of like a mother, kind of like a nanny, maybe even a little bit like a father figure, depending on your point of view, and building up their relationship, their bond, and all the information you get out of that is pretty much standard boilerplate self-help leadership type of quotes and encouragement. You get the same thing from like a Tony Robbins seminar or something from a Dale Carnegie book. It's all pretty much standard stuff. That's not to say it's bad or it's wrong, but you definitely aren't getting any surprises or new developments out of their character interaction. It just feels like kind of like an after-school special. Again, not wrong, but that's all it is. However, the take back on the character work is Mooney wildly missed the mark when it comes to the dialogue. It feels overacted. It feels like a sort of a cut rate Shakespearean play in some of the dialogue and some of the phrasing. They stop short of going to these and thous. I don't know what I mean. Yes, there's supposed to be a sort of nobility about the Thundercats because they're coming from a royal family and that sort of hierarchical structure. But man, some of the dialogue in this is way overbaked and way overdone. It feels really ham-fisted and cheesy. So Mooney maybe have the concepts right, but the dialogue is, oof, really rough. Let's switch over to the art. Stephen Mooney is also the main artist on the book, so he's doing a 2-for-1 on this one, which is, can work in some circumstances. In this case, maybe not so much. So Drew Morris, we've been a little bit hard on because Drew's style is very blocky, sort of stiff, not very dynamic, especially when it comes to the action scenes, which is the Thundercats, right? This is supposed to be an action-based comic. Moss just doesn't have that dynamic, fluid style. Mooney, on the other hand, has a lot more of a fluid, dynamic sensibility to the art and a much stronger use of deep, dark shadows and dark lines to give you contour and to insert some drama. So that's all good. However, Mooney kind of, misses the mark wildly when it comes to facial expressions. Some of them look comedic. For example, when Cheetara gives Lionel a right hook right across the jaw, and he's got this look on his face that is not supposed to be funny, but it looks ridiculous, so it comes off as funny. Likewise, later when Lionel gives Cheetara that big gut punch right in the midsection there, she's got this oof look on her face that's not supposed to be funny. It looks funny, but not in a good way. It looks ridiculous funny, and that's not where you want to go. Plus, the way some of the anatomies line up in their poses and the postures looks crooked and off. And particularly, even worse, the faces and the facial construction and the facial alignment will change radically from one panel to the next. I don't think there are 2 successive panels in this entire comic where Lionel's face looks the same. So really, really looks like a rushed, I hate to say the word, but yeah, it's true. A really rushed, sloppy looking job from Mooney in this case, which kind of further emphasizes the fact that maybe this one shot, which bridges the gap between 2 arcs, was just a rush job that was thrown together at the last minute, because this is not the best work we've seen from Mooney. I mean, kind of sad to see, unfortunately. Let's move over to pacing and structure. If we go into the premise that this is a one-shot designed to fill the space, that's probably what this is meant to be. We'll give Mooney credit that at least the basic premise is good. The concept of Lino is now reeling from all these mistakes he made in the first arc, and now he has to get a little bit of tough love and some motherly advice from Cheetara, if we want to say it that way, about how he should have handled things, how he needs to handle things, whether or not he was right or wrong, and not just chastising for making mistakes, but saying, you made mistakes, now what are you going to do about it? Are you going to learn from those mistakes? We're here to help you, but are you going to be mature enough to accept that when you make mistakes, the right thing to do is to take accountability for it, move on. So that whole structure and concept is good, and the pacing moves pretty well, all things considered. Let's move over to talk about themes and what is the basic underlying message here. It's basically that. It feels like an after-school special, some kind of coming-of-age lesson story about somebody who's a kid or a teen coming into his own as an adult and understanding what that means. We learn by doing. We make mistakes when we do things, and then we have to learn from those mistakes so we can do better going forward. That's essentially the sort of the after-school special of it when it comes to this issue. If we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you might ask yourself, well, where does this issue fit into the overall arc so far? The answer is, with a few bits of commentary, yes, this is definitely keying off the finale of the first arc, which ended in issue number 4. However, if you take those little bits of commentary out, this could fit anywhere in the series. It's not very time specific. It could be just an important lesson that Lionel needs to learn from somebody who's older than him, more and wiser and more experienced. But it's not really tied to anything that specifically happened at the end of issue 4. And none of the plots that come out of the first arc are furthered in any way, shape, or form. So even though it's in publishing cycle time, it's put right between arc 1 and arc 2. It really has nothing to do with anything that's going on. So final thoughts, what do we think about Thundercats number 5? It pauses at the end of the first arc to form a bridge between the first arc and the second arc. to give you an issue-long training counseling session with Lino so that he can learn from Cheetara. Stephen Mooney is given the task of just creating this one-shot to fill the space between the arcs, and that's an unenviable task. Nobody's saying that he is giving it his all here, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he had a lot of time to do much. The art ranges from unintentionally comical to bizarrely inconsistent, and the dialogue is just terrible. It sounds like a third-rate Shakespearean knockoff that's overacted to the nth degree. All signs point to this being a rush job, which is unfortunate. And if you're looking to say, well, do I need to pick this issue up to keep up to date with what's going on in the series? The answer is you could completely forget this issue ever existed and you would miss nothing. If you're a completionist, pick it up. If you're not, you can miss it and save yourself some bucks. Therefore, we're going to give Thundercats number 5 from Dynamite Comics 3.5 out of 10. It's a shame that we have to give it such a low score, but the writing quality is not there, the art quality is not there, the importance of the issue is not there, and this is just, honestly, it's just a waste of paper. Let us know what you think. I mean, maybe you feel differently. If Lino needs to learn this very important after-school special lesson, maybe that's necessary. But if you're paying your money for it, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Otherwise, if you like just Thundercats, if you like the OG Thundercats, give us a thumbs up. I want to hear who likes them and who doesn't. Otherwise, thank you for joining, and please stay tuned for the outro for the next review.